Am I the a-hole for not allowing my daughter to wear her late mom's wedding dress, even though I let my other daughter wear it? I want to explain this as clearly as I can. I have 4 kids, oldest daughter, middle daughter, my son, and youngest daughter. And this story is about my middle child, Abby, not real name. Abby has had a hard life with drugs, and it hurt our family in many ways. When she first went to college, she seemed excited about her future. But by the end of her first semester, she came back an addict. Soon after, she dropped out, and things got worse. My late wife and I tried to get her into rehab many times, but she would always leave on the very first day. Her ties with the rest of the family quickly fell apart. By the time she turned 20, we made the painful choice to kick her out of the house. Not long after, my wife got cancer. At that point, we stopped giving Abby money because every cent needed to go toward treatment. Abby became angry and one day broke into our home. She stole heirlooms from my wife's mother and left the doors open so that our 2 cats escaped. We never saw them again. That broke my wife's heart, and after that, her health went downhill faster. Before she passed, my wife was very clear. She said Abby had already taken her share when she stole and sold her things. She told me to make sure Abby did not get anything else. Not money, not belongings, not even something to borrow. I promised I would respect her wishes. When my wife died, Abby did not even come to the funeral. Abby is 26 now and has been clean for a year. Recently, she called me to say she's getting married next year. During the call, she asked if she could wear her mom's wedding dress. I told her no. She got upset and said it was unfair because her older sister wore the dress at her wedding last year. She said she was her mother's daughter too and deserved the same chance. I reminded her that she already had many things from her mom, but chose to sell them for drug money. I also told her that her mother's last words on this were very clear. Abby was not to get anything else. Abby argued that I am punishing her for her past and that she has changed. She said it is wrong to keep the dress from her when she is trying to build a better life. I do not know what the right answer is. My other children don't speak to her anymore. Because of this, I cannot ask them for advice. So I need to hear an outside view. Am I wrong for not letting Abby wear her mother's wedding dress even though she says she is clean and starting fresh? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. What has she done to earn back any form of trust? Yes, she's sober, but sobriety doesn't mean your relationship goes back to how it was. She robbed you, straight up. She stole several items with huge sentimental value from her mother. Why trust her with one of the few things you have left to share with her siblings? Don't let her have the dress. I doubt she would do anything to it. I don't believe her to be evil, but it's the principle. She doesn't deserve to wear something of such importance to your family. She did send out apology letters. I don't know how to feel about mine since it wasn't the best apology. I am low contact and see her maybe every 6 months, so I am trying to build up a relationship again, but it is hard. I don't trust her at all. If she wasn't my kid, I 100% would not speak to her again. Go with your gut. If you don't trust her, don't let her have the dress. It's as simple as that. She hasn't earned your trust back yet, and your wife was crystal clear. Abby took her inheritance early. She gets nothing else. Period. I think you're right. I can't risk it. Especially since if the dress disappears, then my youngest daughter won't be allowed to have the option for her own wedding. Nope, you are following your late wife's wishes. She would absolutely not want Abby to wear that dress. I would tell Abby that once she returns everything she stole or pawned during her addict phase, she gets nothing of her mother's. I've spent so many years trying to track down the stuff. I have found 2 out of the collection, and they will be going to my 2 other daughters. I feel really bad for my son because he literally has nothing of hers. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to listen to my stepmother's hurt feelings about my mom being present for my son's birth but not her? I, 29 female, recently gave birth to my first child, and my mom stood in for my husband, 28 male, as my birthing partner because while I was in labor, he was admitted to the hospital over medical complications he's been dealing with. We knew this was a possibility, so I asked my mom months ago if she would mind being there. My husband was with me through a screen, which wasn't the same, but I still had my support there. My mom and mother-in-law also stayed with us for several weeks after our son was born to help us out. My husband especially needed the help, and I was grateful to both of our moms for doing this for us. My stepmother was upset when she learned that my mom was present at my son's birth, and she was also upset that my mom and mother-in-law were staying, but she wasn't asked. When she and my dad visited, she attempted to cry about it to me and my husband, but I encouraged my husband to ignore her and get up and leave, which is exactly what I did. Every time she opened her mouth about it, I was out of there. This was after I told her to stop, and that she had no right to be there, even if she felt like she had. We didn't let her and Dad stay with us, but they lived close enough to start visiting daily, which they did at her insistence. She kept trying to make me feel bad, and I kept refusing to listen. One day last week, she told me I was cruel to dismiss her feelings so heartlessly, and I should know that after all the years of being my second mom, she'd be hurt badly by this. Some context on the family for those who need it. My parents divorced when I was 2, and my dad married my stepmother. I always use the formal stepmother versus the less formal stepmom. My stepmother expected to become my other mother, and started this very one-sided competition for it. She was always trying to make me split Mother's Day with Mom and her, and she would forever annoy me about doing Mother's Day activities together, even when she had kids of her own with my dad. When I was 12, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and Dad and my stepmother swooped in and insisted I stay with them until Mom was better. They made her feel so bad for keeping 50-50 that she relented, but only with a written agreement in place that I would be back to 50-50 once her treatment stopped. Unfortunately, that took 3 years because she had many complications along the way. During that time, my stepmother would always make it clear that she was there and not my mom. That she was dealing with the toughest child-raising ages. She put pressure on me to appreciate her for stepping up while Mom was sick. And she always made digs about how she didn't need a break from raising me and stuff, which felt so disgusting to me back then and still to this day. It was predatory the way she was around that. My mom was fighting for her life, and this woman tried to steal me as her daughter and attempted to paint herself as the better person because she was able to do more. I didn't appreciate her for it. In fact, I grew to hate her. My dad and I had a lot of fights about it and the pressure he and that woman put on Mom. It's something he apologized for and has attempted to make up for. He hasn't fully, but I still love him, and Mom said a part of her understands because she didn't want me to feel obligated to care for her while she was sick either. He even accepted me living full-time with Mom after she got better, and I would visit him some weekends. My stepmother hated it, but I ignored that because to me she had no say over my life. She was not my real parent. She was not someone I respected, and she was only in my life as long as my dad is, or as long as she's married to him. After my stepmother called me cruel last week, I told her she was not welcome in my home anymore and we would have very limited contact for a while because I was not listening to her complain about the birth anymore. I said I had my mom and my child's other grandmother there and she had no business insisting she should be there. I said her feelings are her own to deal with, not mine. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You gave birth, not a popularity contest award. And boundaries aren't optional. Having a baby is about your comfort, not her feelings. Period. Not the a-hole, but your father's wife? Big a-hole. And your father? Also an a-hole for the way he let her behave around you and treat you while your mother literally fought for her life. This woman is vile. Sorry, not sorry. She deserves a special place in hell if there is one. To act like a person battling illness is somehow an awful parent because they're tired and don't have the capability to do as much is evil. I always thought that. I sure hope if she ever gets sick, she has people willing to be kind because I won't be helping her. I'm honestly surprised you let her in your home at all after what she did to your mother. She is not someone I would have any relationship with at all. I only have her in my life because of my dad, but trust me, I am asking myself if it's worth it, and if I'll continue to allow either in. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my sister to give me my money back after her husband made fun of my wife's scars? My sister borrowed money from me almost a year ago for her husband's surgery and health care. They couldn't afford it, so when my sister asked me for financial help, I was hesitant. But I helped her because she's my sister, and helping her husband would mean helping her as well. I told her back then that I was hesitant, but I would help. She said she'd return the money in 3 months, but she didn't, and I didn't ask her either. So now I brought it up again. I wasn't planning on asking her to return the money, but her husband made fun of my wife's scars. My wife has small scars on her hand. It's not serious, just small scars she inflicted on herself when she was 15. I was with her back then and put a stop to it. We are both 27 now, and my brother-in-law made fun of my wife when he asked her if she's still childish and told her to cover up her hands because it's unpleasant for everyone. Both of our families were speechless, and my wife was as well. I said when we are young, we do dumb things, and he was too drunk, so he should just shut up. He got a bit more aggressive and said that it's still unpleasant, and my wife should cover up. I retaliated in my anger and told him that my wife would start covering her scars when he gives me my money back. To be honest, I get angry easily, and I wanted to insult him. My wife was holding me back to stop me, but I told her to shut up. I ended up telling him that he's a poor man and weak, who couldn't even afford his own surgery and had his wife beg for money from her brother. He got even angrier and said he would give me my money. I said, "Do it right now," but you can't because you can't even walk properly. Our families were interfering, and my sister was crying. I shut my mouth because I didn't want my sister to cry. Since then, my sister has been asking me to apologize because I hurt his ego, and he's in a foul mood and depressed. I told my sister that I will never apologize, and he needs to apologize to my wife. I also told her that both of them owe me money, and I want it back as soon as possible, and I don't care if they are poor. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Okay, telling your wife to shut up is not okay, but I also get the fact that you were defending her and wanted to hurt him. I get the anger when it comes to protecting family. When someone goes low on my family, I scrape the barrels of hell. Exactly this. The shut up part was not cool, but emotions were running high and you reacted in the moment. When someone disrespects family like that, especially in such a cruel way, it's hard not to go for the jugular. Totally get where you're coming from. Not the a-hole. It is difficult to overcome the stigma of self-harm scars. I have many, and they're covered in various ways. If someone mocked my inability to manage my life, I think it would break me again. No matter how old I get, my attachment to living is tenuous at best. My husband, light of my life, knows this, and can be very, very protective. It doesn't matter who it is, he will absolutely fight for me. You are not in the wrong. Your wife will always need you in her corner. Remind your family that the things that can drive you to self-harm can happen instantaneously. Make them remember that. Take from them the same dignity and respect they took from your wife. I stopped covering mine up. Let them stare. I survived things most of the people staring can't even comprehend. I survived my own mind trying to kill me on a daily basis. Every time someone makes a mean remark about my scars, I either give them a long, disdainful stare or ask them if they feel better now, because the comments say more about the people commenting than they do about you. Last story. Am I the a-hole for insisting my husband calls our daughter by her given name? Me, 30 female, and my husband, 35 male, have been together for close to 5 years, married for 2, and just had our first daughter, Hannah. I am from Japan. My husband is European, and this will be important for the story. Before Hannah was born, my husband and I had several long discussions about names. My husband was very vocal about wanting to name our first daughter Lily. He said he always loved the name and always imagined a potential daughter named Lily. I like the name, but I grew up in Japan. Because of that, I'm not able to pronounce some Western sounds properly, L being one of the worst. I told my husband I felt uncomfortable about giving our daughter a name I would be unable to pronounce properly. He was disappointed, and we talked about it multiple times. He suggested I could try speech therapy, which I was prickly about because I don't feel like I have a speech impediment. It's just the way I was raised. Eventually, we agreed on the name Hannah, which is also a flower name, and he seemed happy enough about it. Long story short, now that all 3 of us are home from the hospital, I caught my husband calling our daughter Lily when they're alone. He never calls her that when other people are around, only when it's just the two of them. When I confronted him about it, he laughed and said it's just a private nickname, and that a lot of people grow up being called by multiple names. I feel that he's needlessly confusing our infant child, and more importantly, I feel like he's breaking our promise when we agreed on not calling her that. I also feel a little betrayed that he's calling her a name I'm genuinely unable to pronounce properly. Am I the a-hole? Am I blowing this out of proportion? Or am I in the right here? Legally, my name is Brendan. I go by Max. In my case, it started the same way. My dad really wanted to name me Brendan. My mom really wanted to name me Max, as there's no Polish equivalent to the other name. My dad got his way. Legally, I'm Brendan. My mother would just call me Max anyway. As time went on, by kindergarten, I just started responding to Max more than the other name. All my friends, family, classmates, co-workers now know me as Max. Growing up, this could make roll call at school a bit confusing, as I was put down as Brendan. In my early 20s, I found it a bit confusing to know when to use which name for forms and paperwork. I tried going as Brendan in my mid-20s, so now a couple of relationships I started in that time period still know me by that name. Like my doctor, my personal trainer, and a few co-workers at one particular job site, I've since reverted back to Max. It hasn't caused me any significant hardships, other than minor annoyances here and there. But despite what a huge chunk of the thread is saying, yes, there's a chance that she'll just choose Lily as her functional name at some point. I am curious why the husband is dead set on this name though, to the point he does not care his wife cannot pronounce it. Maybe she married Severus Snape, lol.